Hey gang, Reine here. Today we are going to cover Access Chapter 2. And first I just wanted to give you a few reminders. Number one, the DC exam for chapters 9 through 12 is available in SAM and is due 11:59 on Sunday, April 20th. The practice exams are also available under Always Available Assignments, so do those practice exams. Number two, Microsoft Access 2013 Projects and Paths for chapters 1 through 3 are now available in SAM under Always Available Assignments, and those are due by May 5th. Number 3, classes on April 14th, April 16th, and April 21st will be conducted online with these videos. The classroom will be open for those who need to use the computers, but I will not be in the classroom. I will be conducting the course through these videos online and through email correspondence if you need to get a hold of me. Number 4, classes on April 23rd, 28th, 30th, and May 5th will be for makeup work on missing assignments or a chance for you to raise your scores on past projects. There will be no new work available April 23rd, 28th, 30th, or May 5th. It'll be makeup time for you to get caught up on your work or raise your scores. Number 5, no assignments are going to be accepted after 11:59 p.m. on May 5th. And number 6, just a reminder that I will not give any incompletes for this class, so all of your work must be in by 11:59 on May 5th. All right, with that said, let's jump into Access Chapter 2. Okay, so in SAM, we want to go ahead and download our assignment for Access Chapter 2. It's under Always Available Assignments, and you can download the instructions and the file. Okay, and all right, so we have our file open, and let's get started. First thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and open the guide contact query in design view. So we're going to come over here to the all access objects. We're going to go down to queries. We're going to open up the guide contact query just by left clicking on it twice, and it opens it up in the datasheet view. So if you look down here in the lower right hand corner of the screen, we're going to switch to design view. And in design view, we want to delete the years experience field from the query, and then save the query, run it, and close it. So I'm going to come right down here to design view, and I'm just going to click right at the top of the field, or the top of the column. And when I have it highlighted, as you see here, I'm just going to click delete, and it disappears. Okay, I'm going to save it. So I'm going to come up to the Guide Contact Query tab. I'm going to right click, click Save. Now I want to run it. So I'm coming up to the Results group on the ribbon, clicking Run, and there you go. And I'm going to come back and save it one more time, and I'm going to close it. So that completes number 1. Number 2, we want to create a new query in design view based on the guides table. Okay, so again, up on the ribbon, we're coming up to the Create tab on the ribbon, and under the Queries group, we're going to create a query in design. So I'm going to click right there. And now with this dialog box, I have an option to choose which tables I want to work with. And I am working with the guides table. So I'm going to select guides, click add, and I'm going to click close. So now we have the guides table up on our desktop in our work area. All right, the first thing we're going to do, 2A, we're going to add the fields guide ID, first name, last name, and years experience. So first thing I'm going to do in the table, I'm going to come down to guide ID, and I'm going to left click twice, and you can see it inserts it right into our query below. Okay, next I'm going to add first name by double clicking, going to add last name by double clicking, and I'm going to scroll down and add years experience by double clicking. Now for years experience, we're going to add an ascending sort order. So if I come down here and I look at the row for sort order, I come across to the field years experience, and I put the insertion point right in there. Click on the triangle, and I'm adding an ascending sort order to this query, and I'm going to save the query with the name guide experience query. So again, I come up to the tab, right click, save, and again we're calling it guide experience query, and we click OK. All right, now we're going to run it. So I'm coming up to the results group, clicking run, then I'm going to save, and I'm going to close. So that completes number 2. Number 3, we're going to create a new parameter query in design view based on the guides table. So again, we're coming up to the create tab on the ribbon, and we're coming over to the queries group, clicking on design query design to open up in design view. And for this one, let's see here, we are using the guides table. So I'm clicking on guides, clicking on add, okay, and I'm going to close that. And now I want to add first name, last name, phone number, address, state, and postal code into my query. Okay, now for 3B, we're going to do something a little bit different this time, and we're going to add a criteria under state. So if I come down to state and I look at the row, if I look at the row criteria and I move all the way across to the state field, this time I want it so that when I run the query, it asks me which state I want to look for. So I'm going to add a bracket. I'm going to type in enter state, and I'm going to close the bracket. Okay, now I'm going to come back up and save the query. And this query we're going to call state guide query. Click OK. And we're going to come back up to the results group. We're going to click on run, and it's asking me which state we want to query. Okay, so we're going to put in ME for Maine, and we should see 3 records pop up. We'll click OK, and there we have the 3 records. Again, I'm going to come up to the tab, I'm going to save it, and I'm going to close it. All right, let's move on to number 4. We're going to create another new query in the design view. All right, so again, we come up to the create tab on the ribbon, and we come up to the queries group and query design. So it opens us up in design view, and this time we're going to work with the trips and guides table. Okay, so first we want to choose trips, and then we want to choose guides. Okay, and we're going to close it out. So now this time we're working with the trips and guide name tables. First we want to add the trip name field from the trip table. So this is our trips table. We want to add trip name, and we double click and we add trip name. Then we want to add the first name, last name, and phone number from the guides table. So we come over to the guides table and we left click on first name, last name, and phone number. And we're going to save the query with the name guide assignments query. So again, I come up to the tab, right click, save, guide assignments query. Click OK. And now we want to run, save and close. So I come back up to run, save, and close. Okay, so that was number 4. Now, number 5, this one's a little trickier. We want to create a crosstab query based on the trips table. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Create tab on the ribbon, and we are going to come over to the Queries group, and we're going to use the Query Wizard for this one. And when we click on Query Wizard, we are going to come down and click on Cross Tab Query Wizard and click OK. And the first thing we want to do is we want to use only data from the trips table. So for our table, we're going to come down to Table Trips, and we're going to click Next. Okay, now this is where we're actually going to add the state field for the row headings. So we're going to come down to the state field. We're going to click State Field for the row headings, and we're going to click Next. And now we want to use the season for the column headings. So we're going to come down and select Season, and we're going to click Next. And this is where we are going to make sure that we have count for our function, and trip ID is the field that's going to be calculated. Okay, and by default we have those, so we're going to click Next. And here we want to name this query, and we're going to call it state dash season space crosstab. Okay, and we're going to leave view the query there, and we are going to click Finish. And there we go. We see the results, and we are going to save it, and we're going to close it. Okay, let's move on to number 6. This time we're going to open the 8-person trips query in design view. So we come down to Queries, and you see the 8-person trips query. We're going to double click on that. We're going to open it up, and it's open in datasheet view. So down in the lower right hand corner, we're going to switch to design view. Okay, and this time we want to modify the query to show only records where the group size field is equal to 8. So we're going to come down to group size. We're going to come down to criteria, and we're just going to type in 8. And then I'm going to come up. I'm going to run the query. And you can see over here now maximum people in the group is now 8. I'm going to right click on the tab. I'm going to save it. And I'm going to close it. Okay. Number 9, we are going to open the early seasons query and put it into design view. So again, we're coming down to early seasons query. We're going to double click it to open it. We are going to switch it to design view. Okay. And let's see here. Did I just jump ahead? I did. So I'm actually going to close that one. And I'm going to go back to number 7. Sorry about that. Number 7, we're going to open the beginner New Hampshire trips query. So beginner NH trips query. I'm going to double click on that. I'm going to put it into design view. And I'm going to add criteria to select only those records where the state field is equal to New Hampshire and the level field is equal to easy. So first thing I'm doing, I'm coming down under criteria. I'm going to state, and I'm typing in NH, and then I'm moving over to level, and I'm typing in easy. Okay. Now I'm going to go up. I'm going to run it. And you can see we have all the records that include the state of New Hampshire with the level of easy. I'm going to right click on the tab, save it, and I am going to close it. Okay, now number 8, we're going to open the challenging trips query. So again, we come down to challenging trips query, double click. I'm going to move down to switch it into design view. And this time I want to hide the level field in the query. So if we look at the fields across the top, I'm going all the way across the top to level. And in order to hide the field in the query, I'm going to come down to the checkbox and I'm going to deselect the checkbox. So now it's going to be hidden. Okay, I'm going to come up and I'm going to run it. And looks pretty good. I'm going to right click to save it, and I'm going to right click to close it. Now number 9, we're going to open the early seasons query in design view. So that's right below. We're going to come down to early seasons query. We're going to click it. We're going to put it into design view. And this time we're going to add a criteria to select only records where the season field is equal to spring or summer. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to come down to the season field, and under criteria, first we're going to type in spring. And if you look over to the left, right underneath criteria, the next row is or. So for criteria, we typed in spring, and in the or space, we are going to type in summer. And I'm going to come up and run, and now it should give us any record which has the season for spring or summer. So we click run, and you can see all of the seasons here are spring and summer. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to close it. Okay, number 10, we're going to open the main trips query, and we're going to modify the sort records in ascending order. So number 10, we are coming down to main trips query, double click, again switch into design view, and I'm going to modify the query to sort the records in ascending order by the trip name. So first I'm coming down to trip name, and for sort I'm choosing ascending. And then I'm also going to sort by the start location in ascending order. So we chose ascending order by the trip name and the start location. Okay, then I'm going to come up to run. And you can see everything looks good there. And I'm going to save it. And I'm going to close it. Okay. Number 11, we're going to open the short trips query. So we come right down under the main trips query to the short trips query, double click. We're going to kick it into design view. And we're going to add criteria to select only records where the value in the distance field is less than 7. So we're going to move down to the distance field. And the criteria, I'm going to place the insertion point right under, or right in the criteria box in the distance field, and I'm going to type in less than 7. And I am going to click run. And now you can see the distance for all of these is less than 7. I'm going to save it. And I'm going to close it. Okay, on to number 12. Number 12. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to open the trips by type query. So we're coming all the way down to the bottom of the queries, trips by type. We're going to double click there. We're going to switch to design view. And now that we are in design view, what we're going to do is we're going to come up to the show height group under the design tab on the ribbon, and we're going to click on totals. And if you come down here, you can see that we just added totals to both fields. Okay, and by default, they are in the group by totals. And for this particular exercise, for the trip name field, we want to set the total row to count. Okay, so, and that is, again, that is in the trip name. So under trip name, we're going to go to the total row. We're going to put the insertion point in there. We are going to come down and select count. Okay, so now we have, for type, we have group by, and for trip name, we have count. We're going to save that query. We are going to run it, and there are the results. And I'm going to just save it again, and I'm going to close it out. Okay. Number 13. We're going to open the ctrips query. So we come back up, ctrips query. We're going to open it up in design view. And we're going to add the C wildcard criteria to the trip name field. So again, if we come down to trip name and we come down to the criteria row and we type in C and the asterisk, which is right above the 8, that's going to give us a wildcard. So it should show us any trip name that starts with the C. And I think I just deleted it. C asterisk. Okay. I'm going to run that query. And you can see the trip names all start with C. I'm going to save that query, and I'm going to close that query. Okay, number 14, we are going to use a form button to create a simple form based on the challenging trips query. So what we are going to do is we're going to come down, and I'm going to just select the challenging trips query. I'm not necessarily going to open it up. Then I'm going to come up to the Create tab on the ribbon, and I'm going to go to the Forms group, and I'm just going to click on the button that says Form. And when I do that, it automatically creates a form for the challenging trips query. So here I could actually enter and edit data or even view the data that we get when we use the challenging trips query. We want to save it now as the challenging trips form. So I'm going to come up, I'm going to right click on the tab, and I'm going to click save, and I'm going to call it challenging trips form. Okay, and now I'm going to close it. All right, now next we are going to actually create a new report using the report wizard based on the all trips query. Okay, so we're going to come down to the all trips query. I'm just going to select it. I'm not really going to open it up. I'm going to go to create, and I'm coming up to report, which is in the reports group. Clicking on report. And you can see there we have the, let's see here. And actually that's not right because I wanted to use the wizard. So I'm going to go back to create. And again, I still have the all trips query selected, but I'm going to choose the report wizard. And now we're on the right track. So we want to include all fields from the query. So I'm going to click the double arrow to move all the fields over. I'm going to click next. And the report's automatically going to be grouped by the state field, as you can see right up top. So I'm going to click next. And here we do not want to use any additional sorting in the report, so we're going to click next. We want to use a stepped layout and portrait orientation, which is already selected. And we're going to click next, And we're going to change the title to All Trips Report. And then we are going to finish. And there you see the All Trips Report right there. And I am going to save that. I'm going to close it. And the other one where I made the mistake, I'm just going to close it without saving it. Okay. And that is it for Access Chapter 2. Go ahead and submit that and make any corrections necessary. I think we got most of them. That'll help get you started. And I will see you when we do Access Chapter 3. If you have any questions on Chapter 2, feel free to drop me an email, and I'll be checking my email every 24 hours as we're working through these courses online. So thanks everyone, and have a great day.